Welcome to the Spunky Spirit Podcast. I'm your host, psychic medium Carrie Muggs. This is where we learn all things spirit, everything from spiritual gifts, awakenings, ghosts, aliens, and starseeds. Nothing is untouchable, but always fun and spunky. I am honored to be on this spiritual journey with you, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Hello, and welcome to this week's Spunky Spirit Podcast. I am Carrie Muggs, and today we are going to talk about your relationship with money. Now, this is always kind of a taboo subject. I don't know why, but money seems to have, I kind of know why, but money always seems to have people are weird about money. People don't like to talk about money, especially spiritual stuff. Like a lot of people say I shouldn't, like healers shouldn't charge for their gifts and things like that, but doctors do. And honestly, I had to tell myself one time that I wasn't charging for my gift. I was charging for the time because it makes me really tired. So I would be like, okay, I'm going to charge for my time. But honestly, we all have special gifts that we use and we share it. And energy, money is just an energy. So I'm going to kind of talk about how money is just an energy. In fact, Wayne Dyer said, abundance is not something we acquire, it's something we tune into. And I love this because it's a frequency, it's an energy. And when spirits come in during readings and they talk about money or they talk about finances, they can come in and say, you're going to come into a lot of money. And then that person, or you're going to get some money in the mail, or there's money coming. And then my client will be like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm so excited. And the next day they could go out to their mailbox and get $1. Spirit doesn't, it's just an energy. It's a frequency. It doesn't really know the difference between $10 and $10,000. So there's really no limit as to what you put on it. Money has no frequency. It's just a frequency. It has no good or bad. It's neutral. It's a neutral energy. We are the ones that place the good or the bad tags to it. It's our beliefs that we have when we're little, or it's our beliefs that we have when our false beliefs that we were taught growing up. This can be simple things. If your parents really struggled with money when you were little, then you can really struggle with money when you're older, or you can want so much of it because you don't want to be poor when you get older, or you want to make sure that your kids or your family don't have the same lifestyle you did. And I can see this in one of my kids. When I was going through the divorce, we were pretty poor. We had absolutely no money, and this instilled a fear in her. And now today, when she spends too much money or she thinks she overspends, she can have anxiety. She can have some severe anxiety. So it's all because, and I didn't mean to teach her that. It's just we were going through that at that time. And so I can see how some of my kids get this false belief about money and the lack of money, because during my divorce, we did have a lack of money. So, and it was pretty hard. And I was always, me growing up, my dad was an alcoholic. And so and I love my parents, and I love both my parents. And my father's passed, but if my mom ever listened to this, she tried and tried and tried. I know she did the best she could. But my dad had an alcohol issue and also cigarettes. I think they both smoked cigarettes. And so a lot of the money that my dad would make, because he made pretty good money, would go towards these addictions. And so my mom I could see my mom. I would walk upstairs and see my mom budgeting every week and seeing where the money's going to go. And it never seemed to work out that way because, my dad would end up buying this alcohol was super expensive back in the day. Well, it's probably still it's expensive now, I'm sure. But it took a lot of her money, and she would try and budget. She would try and do it, and I just remember thinking, okay, I'm never going to be like that. Not that I felt that I was going to be better than her, just that I my whole mind was, I'm not going to marry somebody who drinks because I don't want these problems that come with it. And so it's just your mindset. So I kind of had a lacking mindset growing up too, or thinking that I couldn't get for a while, I couldn't get out of that stuckness of that false belief of money's hard to come by, or you have to work hard, or things like that. I always had that kind of false belief behind it. So, and there can be a fear behind money too. You can, a lot of very religious families grow up thinking that that money's evil. Money's the root of all evil. That's the saying that's been taught a long, long time. And sometimes people feel like, some people can see like a father and a son were walking down the street together, and somebody stopped, a really, really nice older gentleman who was very wealthy, stopped and talked to him for a second, and then he drove off, and the father had mentioned about something about how you shouldn't want to ever be wealthy because that's not a good thing, or wealthy people aren't nice, and so you can have that stuck belief in your mind for a really long time that wealthy people aren't good people, or wealthy people don't help people, or you have to be cutthroat and mean to get money. And so there's so many things that surround these beliefs about money. And so you might not even know where any of these beliefs come from. You might be like, okay, she's just talking smack. I don't have any of those beliefs. You might not realize that you do. So I had this issue that I would, if you guys saw my Instagram a couple months ago, I would kind of compare myself to other people or other mediums and not think I was good enough. And when you do some work and you process, this can come back to success, and success can go down to money. So you can have triggers from being really young, or being controlled, or watching your parents' relationships with money and being taught that. So there's got to be, this break, or this break of false beliefs. And I got to tell you, one of the things that really helps me is a book that Chalene Johnson recommended, and it's called Prosperity Consciousness, and it's by oh my gosh, I can't even remember. I will get that name for you though. It's called Prosperity Consciousness. I listened to it on I'm actually going to type it in here and see while I'm doing this. It's an older book, so it talks like it was before like apps and stuff like that, and it's kind of older, but it's really good. He talks about an infinite intelligence, and he talks about how that helps him, and it's really, really good. It's by Frederick Lehman, Fredriclehman, and he kind of helps you process. It's kind of expensive, but it was worth it. And just remember too, I think it was, I don't even know when it was written, but it was written, I think, back in the day before there was cell phones and things like that. So some of the concepts, or the things, oh my gosh, Carrie, the workshops, not workshops, but anyways, some of them are older, some of the concepts are older, but like grocery stores, things like that. This was before Amazon, things like that. So just know, but it's still, the concept of it is really good, and the main concept still works today, because it's about the prosperity, your consciousness, having prosperity consciousness. So look that up, kind of look and see how that works. He gives you little, not workshops, but he gives you little, when I get on podcasts, my mind goes blank half the time, but he gives you little some homework things to do, and some of them are a little out of date. So you might want to take those homework things and make them into something that's valuable for you today. So there's also a lot of guilt around money. We feel guilty if we're successful. We feel guilty that we are prospering, and others aren't. There's a lot of guilt sometimes around this, and we got to kind of let that go too, because there is enough for everybody. This lack of there is no lack. There is enough for everybody, but we come from, and it's all over the news, and it's always just pushed down into us all the time that there's not enough for everybody. There's enough of anything. There's enough for everybody. So always try and keep in mind that there is no lack. There is no lack. You have to have the abundance mindset where there's always enough for you and there's always enough for everybody too. So that kind of helped me too when I was starting out and I was seeing, comparing, and I just thought there's enough. There's enough people in the world to go to. There's enough doctors for people to go to. There's enough mediums for people to go to. There's enough car dealerships for people to go to. There's enough. And also too, if you have this guilt around the money, then it can stop you. It can really block you. And that's mostly what this is. You really need to build a relationship with money or abundance so that you're not blocked and that you can just let it come easily to you. And so you just have to figure out those money affirmations. I do a money abundance spell every month in my office. I know I love it. I love it. And I really feel like I just welcome all the abundance. I welcome all the things. I just love it so much. It's so fun to do. And that's not evil at all. It's just like almost like a prayer to God that to watch over my practice, take care of it, and bring those people who need it and go. And I don't say I want this. Some people say you have to have a specific amount that you're going for. That's up to you. You can be detailed. But sometimes I just want my office to be abundant. And that can be both in relationships, in clients, in classes, in information, and in money. So that whole lack mindset, you have to figure out a way to get rid of it and figure out what triggers it and maybe do some therapy for it or process it. But just know that money comes easily. Money comes easily to you. Now, here's the thing though. I do know that, with The Secret and all that stuff, you can visualize and you can manifest and you can say, okay, I want to make $2 million. And then some people say, this is confusing for me because some people say, forget the how, it's just going to come. But I kind of honestly believe you can't just say, and I tell the story all the time, it's the key story. You can't just say, Spirit, help me find my keys, and sit down on the couch and do absolutely nothing. You have to say, Spirit, help me find my keys, and actively look for the keys. That way Spirit can drop in hints. Spirit can move the keys. Spirit can help you find the keys. So I kind of believe the same concept goes on here. I don't feel like you could say, okay, I want to make $1 million or I want to make $100,000 and then sit on your couch and watch TV all the time. Now, some people disagree with me on this because they think that you just put it out there and you visualize it and somehow it comes. I kind of don't agree with this. I believe that you can put it out there, but you got to actively try and bring it to yourself. It's like the bike story I tell all the time. You get halfway you save up half your money for the bike, and your dad is going to give you the rest of the money. It's kind of like the universe. You put it out there that you want this. You find out ways to try and make it work. And then it comes to you. And this is what he talks about too in this book that I was just recommending. So, and that's really hard. So another thing that really helped me too is I found a cool meditation, and I can't find it now. So I think I'm going to remake it or remake a meditation that's similar because of copyright laws, but I'm going to find it. But there's a meditation, and during the meditation, you go in and you meet money, the frequency of money. You get to imagine what money looks like. So I kind of imagined money looking like Peter Pan with the green and the hat. And you sit down while you're meditating and you have a conversation with money and say, why do we not get along? What is blocking me? What is blocking our relationship? Why do I feel like you run away from me? And talk to this frequency or like a person. And this is supposed to really help you block it too, because then you don't think of money as money. and you don't think of relationship as, these dollar bills, you think of it as a entity or a person that you have this relationship with. And sometimes that's kind of when mine started shifting. A lot of people write letters to, like automatic journaling. They'll write letters to this money person or this entity of money. And this really helps them too. It's kind of the same thing as meditation. And then you realize that money is not a good or bad thing. It's labeled that by us. Money is really just a neutral energy that we create that bad or good relationship with. So it's not, money isn't evil. Money isn't always good. Money isn't always bad. Money's neutral. Money's just there. And we get to create that relationship with money. And we've let society, we've let government, we've let all these people create this relationship for us without thinking for ourselves or creating it on our own. So lots of people, I forgot to say this too, but lots of people that grew up in a poor household can sometimes grow up the same way because of their, or they go all the way against it and say they don't want to live like that anymore. And then they create wealth in their own way. And then there's people, kids who were raised in a very wealthy house or a very wealthy family, and they just don't know that there's any different. And so they have a good relationship with the money, and they create that. They create this manifestation and this money. So a lot of people think that, spiritual awakening or spiritual and money kind of feel like they don't go hand in hand, and in reality they do. Because I remember one of my friends was a long, long time ago having a really hard time with money, and it didn't matter what they tried. They couldn't find a job. And she said, I shouldn't worry about it. It's just money. We're healthy. We're happy. We have a good marriage. And I said, but you don't understand. When you have money issues or when you're struggling with money, you are so stressed, and everything else can cause everything else. It can cause you to be unhealthy because you're so stressed out all the time. It can cause you to have marriage problems because you have so much anxiety. So don't feel bad if you're like, okay, we might not have a lot of money, but we're very, very blessed. Yes, of course you are. But honestly too, if you don't have a lot of money and you're trying to feed your kids, then sometimes you can feel stress, which can cause other elements or other things. So spiritual and money really go hand in hand, because I really believe, and I've heard some podcasts say that the way you treat money is the way you treat yourself. So the way you handle money is the way you handle yourself. What's going on with your money is what's going on inside of you. And some people don't even want to look at their money. They don't even want to look and see. I was like that for a long time. I didn't even want to look at it because, there's this bad feeling around debt. You think you've done something bad, or you think you've done something terrible, and you see debt. And you know what? Debt's just debt. There's no good or bad to it. You just see it, and if it's something that you've done in the past or something you do it now, you just look at it and you take, not control, control in a way, but I'm trying to find a different word, responsibility. And you look at that and say, okay, this is what is here now, but don't judge yourself. You just give yourself some grace, and you start a plan of action to start working on it. And it might take 2 years. It might take 2 months to get out of this stuckness that you feel is there. But if you see it as a mountain that you can't get over, then you're not going to be able to get over it. So you start putting a plan into action. This is where you ask the universe or your angels or the money entity to help you with this, to help you create more of this, or to help you put money on it. But you have to be aware of what's going on. You can't put blindfolders on and try and just say, okay, I'm going to pay this debt off. Something's going to happen, and we're just going to magically, it's going to be paid off. I used to do that too. Okay, something is just going to magically, $2,000 is just going to come into my life, and then I'll be able to pay it off. Nobody's going to magically come into your life. Prince Charming isn't coming. A rich uncle isn't going to die. You have to take care of it on your own. And you're the one who's going to save your life. You're the one who's going to save that. So once you take a hold of that and you start to take care of it, then that's when spirit and energy will help you. But if you kind of ignore it and pretend it's not there and you're in denial, then it's not going to be taken care of. So just being aware and looking at your finances is the number one thing to do. Just see where you're at. I'm not saying, make a plan. Just see where it's at. If some people don't even know where it's at. Some people know. My grandmother, I love her to death. She knew every penny where it was at. She knew exactly, but she was also a county treasurer in where we live. So she was very, very, very good with money. And it's so crazy because my dad, on the other hand, her son, was not necessarily the greatest with money because of his addiction. So he made good money, but he also had this addiction, and so it was like a paycheck to paycheck kind of thing. And everybody's different. I'm sure my dad had some false beliefs behind money from when he was little and saw my grandma saving all of that. So it just depends on where you're at and what your journey with money is. And you've got to dig deep in there and figure out where your beliefs come from and how to clear them so then money can come through that block. So money, the trick is money and spirit both expand, right? Like we sometimes want to shrink or we feel like our money's shrinking, but our spirituality and our money both are the deal, or the main goal is to expand this and to have it grow. And there's nothing wrong with this, but sometimes we just want to play small. And I'm just here to tell you now is the time. It's not time to play small anymore. It's time to play big. We're in a very And I'm not putting any scariness out there or doomsday stuff, but it's time to play big. It's our spirits have waited. If you're listening to this, it's time for you to play big. No more shrinking yourself or your personality. No more shrinking your budget. It's time to expand. It's time to expand your spirituality. It's time to expand your beliefs. And it's time to expand your life. And when you do this, the money will also expand. They kind of go hand in hand. But the main goal is this is something, and you might not even have an issue. Like some of you out there might be like, money's fine with me. I have all of this, abundance, and it's coming easily. And I'm so glad. And that's so good for you. And so you might have conquered your blocks. And if you have, then leave comments or leave DMs on how you conquered that fear. Help other people to get past that, because I do know that there are a lot of people out there that are trying to conquer this. And sometimes I'm not going to be. Sometimes when there are times when you are going through a really big struggle and money can just show up. So I don't want to say this is all the time, because I really believe that sometimes you have to put work into it. But I do remember one time during my divorce, and it was pretty devastating. Like there was no money. And I remember just sitting on the couch crying because I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to make this month's house payment or what I'm going to do. And something told me to go. I just felt the need to go clean up to clean up my office in the house. And I went in there and I was emptying the garbage, and I had come across this envelope that was sent to us from, I can't remember, I think it was a refund of some sort from our taxes, or not from the taxes, because I would have known that. I would have been watching for that. But it was from some sort of deal we had done, or I don't know. And I opened it up, and it was a check for the amount to pay the house payment. Now here's the thing. Spirit had to have known this was coming. Spirit had to divinely guide this to happen. And so I was so grateful. So grateful. And then yes, there were times during the divorce that I woke up and did find groceries on my back porch, or I did find money in my mailbox. And I think this was a time because other people around me knew, neighbors and stuff knew I was going through a hard time, and so they helped. And I fully believe that times like that, Spirit does show up 100% but I had to get up and clean the office. If I would have just sat on the chair and said, no, I'll clean the office another time, or if I wouldn't have listened and looked in the garbage while I was throwing it, looked at the garbage while I was throwing it away, I could have easily missed that check. So this, I do believe that there are times when it does kind of fall in your lap when it's most needed. But I feel like too, if it's something long term that you're looking to do or you're looking to bring in abundance, $1 million isn't going to fall into your lap. If it's something that you want to create, then you've got to work on this relationship that you have with money, a long-term relationship, so then you can let it come in and release those blocks. So my homework for you this week is to, look at your money and see how you feel when you spend it. How do you feel when you spend it? How do you feel when you pay your bills? How do you feel when you see your bank account get to a certain, do you feel guilt? Do you feel loss of control? Do you feel good? I want you to maybe keep a diary or write down, just for a week, how much you spend and where you spend it at and how you feel about that. Because I know whatever you feel, there's going to be a trigger of some sort that's going to let you know deep down what your relationship with money is. So if you have any suggestions for anybody else on how to release this block or to help people get past this false belief system about money, please send them to me or comment at the bottom of in my Instagram at Carrie Muggs. Comment on the you know what I'm talking about. Let me know and I will share this with other people. And also, I would love it if you would subscribe to this podcast and maybe share it with others. I am trying to grow my podcast because I want to get these messages out there and help people feel like they're not crazy and help people feel like this is legit and this is real. So I hope that helps you guys with that money stuff. Money can be awesome and money can be hard. I've been in both spots. I've been in places where I don't have to worry about money, but I've also been in places where I have daily, when I was a single mom, daily worried about when the next meal is going to come. I remember one time, I tell this story because my youngest daughter was hungry, and I didn't have any money. It was going through the divorce, and I remember me sitting in front of the fridge with her and us both crying. She's crying because she was hungry, and I was crying because I didn't have anything to feed her. And it was and that's the next day, or 2 days later, not the next day, but the next day is when I found groceries on our porch. And I've been there. It sucks. And I'm not saying to those single moms out there right now that struggle with money that if you just do abundance spell and put it out there that you're going to make it, it's going to show up tomorrow. It was a long journey. That was a long journey for me going through that. But I love who I am now, and I love what I learned from that journey, and I love where it's gotten me. So just remember, there is an end. And I always really liken that story to Job. Sometimes things happen and it's out of our control and we lose things. Job lost everything. He was just trying to do what's right. He was trying to do what was good, and he lost everything. But then he got tenfold back. And that's kind of what happened to me through this divorce. I lost everything except for my kids. And then a few years later, I got tenfold back. Everything I lost, I got double back. And I got 3 more kids. I got an awesome husband. Our home was more amazing. And I'm not saying it's about material things, but just know good things are coming. And take those money beliefs and get rid of them. Clear out your energy. Let money come to you. And I promise you that it will. Don't just sit on the couch and wait for it. Do the things that you can to make it come, and it will come. So really look at your relationship with money this week, and I will try and make that meditation to talk to money and build a relationship with money, or try your relationship like that. So I hope that helps, guys. I love you so much, and I just want good things. I want good things for all of you, and I just want everyone to be kind to each other and to have lots of money. If I could save the world, I would just spread kindness and money everywhere. That's what I would do. I know it's like, but anyways, I love you guys so much. Please subscribe to this podcast and share it with others. And if you know somebody who might benefit from this podcast, please let them know. And I will talk to you guys next time.